Welcome in, Scourgers. Wild night, to say the least. We got a quarterback of the future. We got an edge rusher that we didn't know we needed or wanted or cool. So we are here to break down that for you guys, all of that, and some weird things that happened tonight in the draft. A lot of chalk, a lot of predictable picks, like I predicted in a mock, but at the same time, a lot of surprises. So we'll break down that for a little bit here, just to give our reactions live here on the Vikes and our thoughts moving forward. Not going to stress too much about the details about what we think moving forward, just gut reactions. So I'll start off with Pat.
I don't think it could have got much better. If you would have told me that we were going to end up with JJ McCarthy and Dallas Turner and kept our 2025 first round pick, I would have been absolutely ecstatic. So I know, and I'm sure we'll hear about this for weeks. The trade charts said that we lost these trade ups. I don't care. If you're getting a quarterback of the future and a potential, what some people were saying was the number one defender in this entire class, that's a haul. You're coming away with a haul, and you're keeping your 2025 first round pick. It doesn't get any better than this for me.
Yeah, I
Kyle?
totally agree. I was against moving up to the third pick just because of the cost. So I'm glad that they didn't sell the farm and give up all those picks, especially seeing JJ falling as far as he did. I cannot believe that we held on to 23 and like you said, we then move up and get Dallas Turner. What you said, if you told me 24 hours ago that we would get J.J. McCarthy, Dallas Turner, keep that 2025 first round pick, I'd say you're full of shit.
Yeah.
But this couldn't have gone any better for Kwesi. Couldn't have gone any better for the Vikings. They hit it out of the park. I think it's an A+ round one.
Ignore
Shout
that.
out to us for mock draft 1.5 where we nailed the first six picks. Although I don't think that they were that shocking in the order that they went. But I also think
Right.
we were onto some things with the offensive players really taking that entire first half pretty much of the first round. We were
Yeah,
onto that,
seriously.
and that's what came to fruition and pushed some of these defensive day one starters back to the second half of the first round.
Yeah, that's what we talked about. How keeping 23 was so important because guys like Byron Murphy, Dallas Turner, Jared Verse were being pushed back because of that, and that did come to fruition, and it paid off for the Vikings.
Yeah, so we'll get into the guys that kind of fell down the board here and still are on the board, which some surprising guys that Tom and I did the mock draft last night. We talked about who might make it into that end there and a couple of guys that might sneak in around too just based off of team needs. We'll get into that a little bit here if you guys want to pull up the draft results on your end. But
I
just
have
starting
one
with the
quick question.
Vikings. Sure.
How what were you guys feeling at pick 3 when the Patriots I think it went down to 90 seconds left on the clock? What
I
were you
wasn't
guys thinking at that point?
that it was going to be Drake May. Okay, there was a deep part
Yeah,
inside of me that wanted it to be JJ, but also whatever. We're here.
yeah. I came to the realization that we were not going to end up with Drake May probably when the two of you guys did when the Pelissero report came out that they were likely sticking at three and picking
Yeah, it
Drake
just
May. And the entire day, I had convinced myself that Drake May was going to be a Viking. I had convinced myself
yeah,
that it was going to be worth the 11, 23, and 25 first round pick. And I was excited about it. I really was. But again, hindsight's everything, and seeing what we ended up with. And the reality is, we don't know if JJ McCarthy is going to be the quarterback of the future. But the fact that we did not have to give up all of these future first round picks and assets that could essentially deplete the asset bank that we have. And yes, we don't have a ton of picks now with the Dallas Turner trade up,
we have
but
nothing.
the fact that we did not have to do that and still ended up with a guy who I think has a real shot at being the guy and the franchise quarterback for the next 5 to 15 years, however you define that time frame, that's a win to me. So
I'll tell you what
Yeah,
happened
absolutely. I mean,
after.
that Drake May.
Oh, go ahead.
I don't think that Drake May is a Dallas Turner better than JJ McCarthy.
yep,
I think Dallas Turner, he's going to be Defensive Player of the Year
Whoa.
or Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Whoa.
Excuse me.
Hot take. Hot take.
We'll save that hot take for another day. But Defensive Rookie of the Year, it's not out of the question.
So I'll tell you what went through my emotions there at number 3. Before, of course, I wanted Drake May, trade up, anything possible, waiting for the not the pick is in, not the pick is in. If the pick is in, have it be anybody but him. It was him. I feel like the writing was on the wall. There was 3 different major beat reporters that reported probably 15 minutes before draft ticked off, and it was writing was on the wall. I'm like, why would they let out fake steam this close to, like, why would they? I get smoke was a thing all the way until the draft, and it was for the Giants. Looking back at it now, Giants, what are they? We'll talk about that here in a bit, but just with the Patriots, they need so much more than a quarterback. Bob Kraft comes out at their draft party and goes, "We're about to take a great player here at number 3 overall, and don't be surprised if we hop back up into the first round. Stay close to your screens." What? What kind of an owner are you? Just giving away the whole plan? Jeez. So at that point, I knew it was over.
I think he's losing it.
But, oh, yeah, a little bit. Or he's just tuned up a little bit. But, yeah, the second that I saw Drake May on the camera, I was like, boo. I'm just like, I went from absolutely wanting everything for him to being like, I hope you fail. Which I probably don't, but it's just the salty part of me where he put on the hat and I'm like, you have no chance to succeed in New England. Have fun rotting in hell.
Yeah, I feel
100%.
bad for him. I
Yep.
feel bad for him.
I mean, we'll look back in 4 years.
But I'm so excited. I'm so excited about JJ.
This is going to be super fun draft if we save this take for 4 years from now to look back and just see 6 quarterbacks in the top 12 picks. Got that one right on the head with Bo Nix. We were right. Media was right. They didn't flinch. They were stuck, just like we talked about in the mock draft. They could move down, but who are they going to move down with? A team that wants a quarterback. They need a quarterback. Who are they going to? They were stuck. They have no second-round pick. They can't move up. They were stuck at 12, and they had to take whoever was left. And it turned out to be a guy that they probably really liked with Bo Nix. So I want him to do well, despite how much I hate Sean Payton. But I'm still going to be a Bo Nix fan from afar since he's not in the NFC at least. Yeah, just let's talk about the Vikes quick. Screw the other teams. It's about the Vikes. J.J. McCarthy, was he a guy we wanted? Yes. Was he a guy we wanted to pay the farm for? I think we all agreed not so much. We're a little hesitant. We don't know. We're the same as the public. We're the same. We haven't seen it. We don't. Nothing's been proven. You're not gonna trade up 3 total first rounders for a guy that you're not totally sold on. Not to say that Drake May you're totally sold on, but you look at, let's just say if you're the Vikings and you're Kwesi and Drake May there, they're not ready to move out. You're like, okay, we were willing to give you this offer. They don't want it. You move on. You turn the page and you say, okay, what's the difference between the top 3 quarterbacks and McCarthy? How much are we willing to pay? Where are we willing to go? And they played it perfectly, honestly. They didn't buy into the Giants' hype, which is amazing. They must have had some sort of intel that if we would have moved up to 4 or 5 there, I wouldn't have been surprised at all because in all of our mocks, that's what it would have taken to move up and get that 4th quarterback like we talked about. But as it got closer and closer to the draft, you felt that maybe McCarthy could fall a little bit. Maybe he could fall to 11. We don't even have to do anything. And then you start getting the guys saying, if he's going to fall, let's just stick and pick. Why would we waste any draft capital to move up? And then I have the argument that there's 2 teams right behind us with the Raiders and the Broncos waiting for a quarterback to drop 2 into a reasonable distance that they could afford. And I think number 10 overall, they were probably calling the Jets too. So the Jets probably, whether or not we probably initiated, but they were probably calling saying, hey, this is what we're hearing. Give us this, this, and this, and we got a deal. And sure, could have overpaid, like Tom said. It's not about what we're paying at that point. We're getting a quarterback. So that's our guy. Go and get your guy. You moved up one pick. If anybody I know complains about moving up to the number 10 pick from 11, they don't know football. So I'm happy.
And we've seen.
Go ahead, Pat.
I was just saying we've seen what these first round picks can be, right? It's a crapshoot entirely in the mid rounds when you're giving up a fourth round pick, you're swapping a fifth and a sixth. We saw Chaz Surratt be a third round pick. We've seen Moritz Boringer. I don't know if he's a fifth or a sixth, but we've seen these guys who have just been entirely like dart throws in the mid rounds. So if that's what it takes to get your guy, and again, even if it's saying that the trade chart, you're losing this, I do not care. If JJ McCarthy is a guy that, yeah, it doesn't matter. If Kevin O'Connell thinks that he can take JJ McCarthy and turn him into a serviceable or even better quarterback, you do it, and the price does not matter. Exactly.
Yeah. The other thing too is that there's a huge talent gap between JJ McCarthy and Bo Nix. So giving up those couple dart throws, it's totally worth it. It's totally worth it to be a little aggressive.
I'm still sitting here saying that if we would have taken Bo Nix at 11, I would have been totally cool with it, honestly. Michael Penix ended up going at 8.
Assuming JJ's gone, though.
Let's talk about that. We didn't even have a chance to take our guy Penix. Juddy didn't get a chance to put on the wetsuit and jump off the bridge. He was radio silent tonight. Nothing from Juddy. So,
what a missed opportunity.
Huge missed content opportunity for Sunday Sports.
But, not only that, but that was I felt like every team had so much logic behind every pick that they made in the first round. Like every pick, I was like, oh yeah, this makes sense. Yeah. This is great. And then the Falcons taking Penix in 8, and again, I get it. You want an insurance plan for your quarterback. You have Kirk Cousins, 38 years old, coming off of an Achilles injury. Yeah, that's risky. But you also just guaranteed him almost $100 million.
Did anybody see that?
I know Rappaport reported.
It was Rappaport.
I saw
right?
Rappaport hit it. Yep.
I double-taked and I went,
He said what?
He reported that they had interest at Michael Penix, and don't be surprised. Right before
I sent it to you guys this morning.
Yeah. Or was it this morning? Yeah. I guess
it was earlier this morning. I sent it to you guys. I don't know, maybe it was around noon, but it was earlier today. I sent it to you guys. But my theory on this, and this is what I thought the minute that they took Penix, or that it was coming out that he was going to be drafted. I'm wondering if they are anticipating their first round pick taken away next year, and they still want a quarterback post Kirk, and so maybe that was their way of preemptively taking a heir apparent, knowing that they're going to get a pick taken away next season. So they thought, okay, Penix is better than whatever quarterback's coming out next, so that they can get that next.
No, now that you're saying that, Tom,
Great
I
thought.
Totally agree, and I'm going to counter that with Kwesi. And I didn't know if we wanted to talk about that tonight or just talk about the draft picks, but we're here now. So the way Kwesi's looking at it, look at how much he mortgaged for next year outside of the first round pick.
Yeah.
No second rounder, no third rounder, no fourth rounder. We have no picks next year minus our first and fifth. One, it's because he knows he's getting comp picks for the free agents that left. Right. I believe it's been approved for Osborne and Wanham. I think fourth rounders for both.
Eisner one too.
If he signs for over $5 million, I believe we do get one. There's some sort of money.
I think we get another.
Yeah.
So, I think we get another third if Reisner were to sign anywhere.
Yeah. So Kwesi's for sure having that in the back of his mind, like he knows that's coming.
Yeah.
Super smart on him for knowing that. But then he had, if you're the Vikings and you're sitting there 2 weeks until the draft and you hear we might get some sort of compensation, we don't know what it is it a pick swap? Is it a third rounder? Is it we move up to 8, swapping with 11 or 23? Doesn't end up happening. But they didn't just tell him nothing. They're not just ghosted by the NFL. If you're Kwesi, you're saying, look, we're doing work. We have a draft room here. We have a draft board. Tell us what we have so we can prepare accordingly. Hello. And they must have told him something to the extent of, look, it's not going to end up getting finalized. We're still doing our homework, our due diligence on this situation. Expect some 2025 comp picks. And maybe they said early. Maybe they said expect a day 1 or day 2 pick to be coming your way. I'm just speculating. I don't know. But if you imagine that, after trading what we did, still keeping our first for next year, and then I'm not expecting a first round comp pick for Kirk. Third would be great. But if we could get a second round pick or anything higher, like, man, we're going to be cooking next year too. I'm excited. So nobody's really talking about that.
It felt like that was probably some of the thought process going on behind the scenes for both the Vikings and the Falcons. So I don't think it's outlandish to say that they're both anticipating some sort of draft capital movement between the two teams.
Did anybody catch a video or touching on the Falcons here before we go on to other stuff? Did anybody catch that draft room video that they showed on TV in the Falcons? Arthur
Blank.
Arthur Blank was like giving death glares to the GM who was sitting right in front of him. Is it his name is...
Read into that too much. We're trying to read body language. We don't know the context of the conversation. We don't even know when it was taken.
Okay, just think of it before the video is even taken. Arthur Blank's the one who's saying, I'm getting old, I'm a freaking billionaire. Give me a chance to win a Super Bowl, do whatever it takes to get a quarterback. They did. They paid Kirk.
And
whatever.
they did.
They got 4 years out of him. And then, with the 8th overall pick, can you imagine? Arthur Blank sitting here give me a wide receiver, give me an edge rusher, give me anything that we can build around with Kirk. We're going to win this division. We're going to make a run in the playoffs. And you go and you take Michael Penix at number 8. He was not in the loop. The ownership was not in the loop on that. So whoever that GM
I feel like they have to be.
They had to be.
I feel like Arthur Blank is signing off on any. I feel like he's signing off on any pick that does come through, and just like I think the Wilfs are signing off, and I not that I think that anybody has like I think they have ultimate veto power. So if the Falcons GM were to come up and say, hey, this is what it is, and Arthur Blank said, no, I need Jared Verse, I need Dallas Turner, I need someone to build me the Super Bowl, he could have said no. In my opinion, I just can't see that being
I disagree, though.
situation.
Kirk did not know, and Kirk at least deserves the respect to at least tell him that we're looking at quarterback in the first round. They called him while they were on the clock and told him that they were taking a quarterback at number 8 overall.
The part that he was surprised, he knew they were going to address quarterback.
Surprised.
He just thought it was going to be later.
Sure, right. Give me a Michael
he said
Pratt.
they knew. He was surprised that it was a first round pick.
Okay,
but he knew that they were looking at.
So was Arthur Blank, according to this footage. I mean, you can look at it yourself, but
well, again, we don't know what they're talking about in the footage. Let's just hold back and. I mean, we can push a narrative because it's really fun to talk about.
That's our job as Big J journalism here. We're trying to push narratives. Don't push against it.
Yeah, right.
GM Terry.
I think the Kirk stuff is hilarious. By the way,
it's funny for him to go from a team that let him dictate what quarterbacks are drafted and when they're drafted to a team that doesn't even tell him that they're drafting.
I think it's so funny. I think it's so funny. Just he was very surprised. Of course he was. Like I just think that's all hilarious, and he should be surprised because they just committed to him for several years. Yeah, everybody was surprised, but I just think overall that a funny draft pick.
Did you see that Sam Darnold was also very surprised with our number 10 overall selection? We did not.
I'm sure it was just out of the blue.
No, honestly, ownership, Kwesi, nobody even filled him in on our plan, and it was a total out of left field. I mean, he was expecting it was Drake May all along, his old buddy. Now he's, you give me this TikTok kid. What am I supposed to do with this? I went through such an range of emotions, and I'll walk you guys through it. At the start of the draft, I'm like, please take J.J. McCarthy. Like, the Patriots, like, because I wanted May. Somebody take him so the board falls the way we want it to. Or whatever. I'm happy with Penix or Nix. And then the Giants had all of that rumors today. And I'm like, he literally came out on Rich Eisen's show and said that he expects to be taken by the Giants or something along that lines. I'm like, who says that? One.
He said that the Giants had talked to them the most.
Oh, okay. Nah, I think it was a little more leading on than that. But it was like, wow, okay, we're not getting him type deal. And then I moved on in my brain. And then here I'm like, I don't really want him unless we get him for we're not paying the farm. And worked out that way. I'm going to have to do my research on Turner. I did not do proper draft prep on him because maybe 3 months ago when we had Kirk, I was in on Turner. That's like actually how far it goes back. Like we had him in mocks when we had Kirk. Re-sign Kirk, run it back, get a pass rusher, get a D-back, whatever. Free agency, that's what we were thinking. That was our mindset, and it's crazy to just fast forward to now. We have our quarterback of the future. If that works out, hopefully it does. And got a steal of a deal for pass rusher. The rest of the draft is pretty much a crapshoot. So our depth is screwed, but sure, I'm happy.
Pat made the argument when I was pushing back on trading all those draft picks for Drake May. Pat pushed back that we have all this draft cap space, salary cap space next year.
And
but
how about
so
this year?
Yeah, but I don't know. I think the roster is filling out nicely outside of defensive tackle, which I think we can address in the 4th round.
You think we can run out there with a Caleb Evans as a starting cornerback?
Yeah, I think you can. Yeah.
Is
it great? No, it's not. But I think he's a starting cornerback.
But hey, if we're getting pressure every down from Grenard and Van Ginkel and now
Van
Turner.
Ginkel and Dallas Turner.
Sure, Turner. It helps.
Pat Jones.
I agree. Yeah, getting a push up the front.
Is he going to play a pressure, Pat Jones? That would be fun if he did.
Oh, I was gonna sneak our Army guy in there while we're at it.
Andre Carter.
Andre Carter, the third.
Honestly, maybe Ivan Pace Jr. Now that he's switched to 0, he might have double-digit sacks.
Hey, Cashman had a few sacks last year as well. I guess we'll get into that on our season preview episode when we break down the roster. But we got Shaq Griffin. Also, while we're on the topic, J.J. McCarthy, did you guys see the tweet I sent you from Tommy Kramer? He said he spoke with Jim McMahon. And we were
about number 9.
We are more than happy to pass along the greatness of number 9 to J.J. McCarthy. And he added him.
He had to send another tweet because people thought he was being serious, just saying that he was just joking.
Wait, he was joking?
Yeah, he was just joking about giving. Obviously JJ can wear 9, but he was jokingly giving his approval.
Well, that's the thing. He can't wear number 9 because Tristan Jackson has it. It's not an available number. The only available numbers for the quarterback right now. No, I'm serious. He can't take. It's going to be a big argument. People are going to try to buy jerseys tomorrow or tonight, and we have no idea. Number 2, number 8, which is Kirk. 17 and 19.
2.
That's it.
He's got to do 2. He has to do 2.
I agree with number 2.
So cool.
Yeah.
I agree with number 2.
19
rule.
would be
that would absolutely rule.
Adam Thielen 2.0.
He's going to do 2. Don't worry about 19.
I'm just saying. Alexander Madison's going to be pissed. Kidding.
Who?
But Tristan Jackson, man, he's got to give up that number throw the guy 300,000.
He's got to make the team again first.
I
Yeah.
know.
On that same line of thought, did you guys see the report that Marvin Harrison Jr. hasn't signed his like
Yes.
NFLPA licensing agreement?
Yeah,
So
he can't
he
sell a
can't they
jersey yet.
cannot sell Arizona Cardinals jerseys right now because he has not signed that agreement.
He can't be in Madden either, right?
Right? No Madden.
2.0 over here.
Oh,
He was never in
so
Madden.
Pat, are you saying that there is a open hole in the market? I think we could make a call to our friends in the Philippines and China and definitely make that happen under the radar. DM us at Sunday Sports if you're looking to get that number. Would it be 18? I don't know what number he's going to wear. We'll say it's 18, number 18 Cardinals jersey.
88.
88?
Just wear 88.
Why?
Yeah.
Nobody
Isn't that
wears.
his dad wasn't Marvin Harrison Sr.
Yeah,
88?
but nobody wears those numbers anymore. It's sad.
Bring him back.
Seriously, name one good receiver who wears like an 80 besides CeeDee Lamb. It's a fun question.
I'll have to think about it.
They all wear single
It's a good
digits
call.
or
I'm not great.
teens.
I'm not a great jersey number guy.
I don't know. It's a valid question.
It'll come back when they're like, oh, I'm going to be like Moss and go 84 or 81 and be TO, 85 for Ocho Cinco. Those will come back.
So we're pretty stoked about the Vikes. How about we'll talk about just the way the draft board fell, if you guys have that up. We talked about Penix here for a little bit. It was pretty chalk, like we said. Caleb Williams, Jaden, Drake May, Marvin. Joe Alt, good for him, local kid. I remember him running around at my brother's football games when I was little. Like, I was a kid, and he was like a little kid. Small, not a huge 6'8", 320-pound offensive lineman running around. And I'm like, what the heck? And I've always just watched from afar. I was like, oh, he was a quarterback at TG to start, which good. He had the height, the athleticism. Then he transferred to tight end and super successful at that. Super strong, had the big frame, big body, could make all the catches. And then he goes to Notre Dame. They're like, you're a tackle now. Easy. Throws on some more weight. 2 years later, 5th overall pick. Can't make it up. What a cool story.
Did you guys see they were at Delwood too?
Yeah,
Yep.
They were at the
That was
winery.
cool.
So it's pretty cool.
A favorite pick and a least favorite pick?
Oh, fun question.
Or a couple?
I'll just read through it here and then you guys let me know. Neighbors at 6. I think we had that because I didn't buy into the smoke, and I think in both mock drafts we had that. I don't know. They're just invested too much with Jones. I just couldn't see it happening. So I have no idea why there was so much.
They also just
smoke.
don't have the roster to support.
Right, and
They
it
don't
just
have a roster to support a quarterback right now,
it blew
which
my
New
mind.
England doesn't either. But New York was wise enough not to throw somebody to the Sharks.
I'm pretty salty at the Bears for getting frickin' Caleb Williams and Odunze. But yeah, Tom, we know you don't like Odunze. He's going to be a bust. So that'll be up for time to tell. But I think he's
He's just not going to be that good.
He's going to be a pretty frickin' good receiver as a rookie for. He's going to be the third receiver. You're going into an offense where you don't even have to be the guy. Like, how about that for.
That's a scary offense.
It's super scary. They didn't address the offensive line. They probably will on day 2, but their offensive line was fine last year. It wasn't rave reviews by anybody, but it definitely wasn't a big hole like it used to be. Definitely looked into that a little bit here today and yesterday before the draft just to see what they might end up doing. We get McCarthy. Olu Fashanu goes to 11. I think we had that. The Jets were open to moving down. Needed a tackle. We've seen them taking Bowers or maybe a receiver. But, yeah, really good pick for them. They get value and move down. Bo Nix at 12. We nailed that. Everyone nailed that. Brock Bowers was just the odd man out. Did anybody watch the video where he got the call? He did not look happy.
I didn't see it, but I actually like the fit in Oakland. I think he's going to have a really good. He's just such a good prospect, and I think we've been saying like he could be the best tight end prospect that we've seen in the last decade more. I don't like
But
he's a
I
phenomenal
agree. I
prospect,
agree.
and I think he's going to fit right in.
They took Michael Meyer last year at the end of the first round.
It doesn't matter.
Back to back years, first
It doesn't
round.
matter. Brock Bowers is
I'm
he's
just
a
saying. I'm just saying
he's
from
a
a team
completely
building.
different talent
Okay,
level.
yeah, it goes back to the point. He didn't. The current GM didn't draft last year, so he's just starting from scratch. Tom Telesco out
True, but
there.
also the context for the Raiders pick is they were I think they were set on Michael Penix. And so when Michael Penix goes at 8, they have to pivot. And instead of panicking, they just took the best player that was on the board, and that was Brock Bowers. So you can never go wrong taking the most talented player on the board
Yep.
wherever you are.
Yeah,
So it's
I
a good
agree.
pick.
Great pick. And then yeah, it was just the best player on the board. I got this one right on the head. Tali Fuaga to the Saints. We knew they were gonna go tackle. I felt there's been a couple different positions that have been thrown out there, but it sounds like that's a plug and play guy. Love the pick. How about Latu? Talking to my coworker who's a big Colts fan, he expected Quinion Mitchell here. He expected Dallas Turner here. Maybe Byron Murphy. Those three names all got floated around. They went with Latu. It shows
Yeah.
you what we know. We don't know. We don't have the medical records. We're just podcast guys. So if he passed, is he the number one pass rusher in this class? I don't know. Time will
Yeah,
tell.
probably.
I hope he's gonna do really well because he's on the Colts. I don't. I hope he does well. Sure, it helped us get Dallas Turner. So if both of them work out, sure, I'm super stoked for that. But Byron Murphy went one pick before we traded up. It's just crazy that Latu was the first defensive play. If you would have put money on that, that must have paid out like what plus 30,000 or something. That Latu was the first defensive player taken.
Yeah.
Insane.
If he didn't have the medical issues, he would have been the favorite to be the first defensive player taken. I think he was
Agreed.
the top defensive player on most people's boards
Right,
outside
but
of the
we
neck.
we
I
saw
believe it
in
was the
different
neck
mocks that it
concerns.
could have been Murphy and it could have been Turner. So it was just really interesting to see how that kind of played out. Obviously, we talked about Turner already here at 17. Marius Mims goes 18. That was a little bit higher than we had in our mocks, I believe. But Bengals needed a tackle. Didn't go with the receiver there with all that T. Higgins news. Draft, they signed a tackle in the offseason, but Mims is the guy you can develop. And
What are they
put
gonna
in.
do? Because don't they have Orlando Brown, Trent Brown,
Yeah.
and now Amarius Mims?
Yep. Yep. And I
I
think
mean, isn't that
Mims is
three
way.
offensive linemen that are like 6'7" and taller?
Oh, Mims is the biggest freak there is. He's 6'8", 340.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are they gonna do with them all? Are they gonna play somebody who's 6'6", 6'7", 6'8"
I
at
don't
guard,
know.
or what?
No, I
What's
think
their
he's
plan
gonna.
there?
I think he's just gonna develop underneath them until he starts or one of them gets hurt, like they always do. Honestly, but
Okay,
yeah,
thinking about it, I think that's a bad pick. You have right now you're in contract negotiations with T. Higgins and Trey Hendrickson, and they've both requested trades. You have Jared Verse and they're a pick after us. But Jared Verse, Brian Thomas Jr. are still on the board that would have filled possible needs. Like I don't that doesn't make sense to me. Maybe we'll see what their plan was. We're not really in-depth Bengals fans, but from the outside it looks dumb.
yeah. We'll have to ask a Bengal fan what they think. It's always interesting to ask the fans themselves what they think right
I've
away.
never met one. I've never met a Bengals fan.
Hey, any Bengals fans out there, let us know, or if you know somebody who is. All right, pick number 19, Jared Verse. He falls to the Rams. Think we had him taking an edge rusher. A lot of us did, or cornerback. They get actually. I was convinced they were going to go offense. Sean McVay's first ever draft pick in the first round, and they went with the best player available because that's the way the board fell.
There was a lot of smoke that they were trying to move up to get Brock Bowers, and I'm surprised that
They
nothing.
didn't. Yeah, that would have been 6 picks.
I'm surprised nothing came up.
I thought with Bowers falling outside of the top 10 that they would have had a chance to move up and strike. And all the steam
No.
that I heard pre-draft was that with Sean McVay's first round pick that he was going to go offense, and obviously with Puka and Cooper Kupp in place, I didn't think wide receiver was the logical option. So I was thinking either Bowers, or if one of those quarterbacks were to slip, do you get a succession plan for Stafford in there too, which I think would have made a whole lot of sense. Yeah, interesting. But also Jared Verse being available this late, top 3 pass rusher in the class.
He'll be good there.
I don't think it's a
good
bad
fit.
pick.
Yeah.
I suppose too, when Brock Bowers starts to fall out of the top 9 picks, the Vikings move up to 10 to take JJ. The Jets probably didn't want to move down to 19,
Right.
thinking they're not going to get one of the tackles that they wanted. Denver's not moving down to 19 because they'd miss out on Bo Nix.
Right.
So then he fell into Vegas's lap, and they just took him. So
Yeah.
they probably tried, but the board just didn't fall the way that they wanted.
The Steelers getting their tackle there with Fautanu. I don't know if he's going to play tackle or guard for them, but pretty solid value there at 20 overall, I think. Chop
I think
Robinson,
that's a great pick.
Your guy Pat going to Miami.
Pat's guy.
My
Great
guy.
pick for them. We mentioned them going edge, but we weren't really sure if you're going to throw another young guy in there with Jalen Phillips and Chubb both coming off of, was it torn ACLs or Achilles? Both terrible injuries end of the year. So, yeah, I guess they needed something. It literally makes sense. He's going to go in there and look out for that when they're all healthy. Holy crap. Quinion Mitchell going all the way to 22. Pretty big surprise for me. Matty's going to the Eagles because I think he's an actual really good player. And I don't like the Eagles getting another good player because that just makes me mad. Jaguars.
The worst part about it is that, like, for the last few days, the Eagles had been rumored to wanting to move up to get one of the cornerbacks. And they don't have to do anything. They just sit there, and the top one falls right into their lap. It's just...
Yeah, who would have predicted that?
I do. My hot take is I think Arnold's going to be a better cornerback.
They're 2 picks apart, so yeah, it's a toss-up.
Yeah, maybe.
I hope not. He's in Detroit, but yeah, Brian Thomas Jr., 23 to the Jags.
That's
really
scary.
good value. Moved down here. Looks like, they got our pick. That's right. So it went from Cleveland to Houston to Minnesota to Jacksonville. That pick has traveled a bunch, and it hopefully it's going to work out.
I love that pick.
Yeah, he's going to fit in.
Brian Thomas Jr., I think, as this process continued, I think he slowly became one of my favorite players.
Yeah.
I think he's better than Rome Odunze.
Whoa. I would not go that far, but I do think if that was their pick this entire way and then trading down with the Vikings accumulating that additional 3rd, 4th, and 5th, was it? I think that's great value that they got. If Brian Thomas was their guy and they were planning to go receiver this whole time, it's a great fit, and I agree. I think Brian Thomas would be a really good pro.
Yeah.
He's a stud, man.
All right, let's skim through these rest of these picks, and then we'll talk about who might be the top guys for day 2 here. So we talked about Arnold going 24 to the Lions. Pretty good pick for them there. They hopped up just a few picks. I'm not sure what they ended up giving up for that. Probably a decent amount to move up 5 slots there. Packers, it was pretty funny. Nobody knew who Jordan Mason was at the bar, so that always made me feel good inside. Could be a good pick. I don't know if they need offensive line help. They need a left tackle for sure. So I don't know if he's going to start right away, but sure, he's definitely a tackle that's top 8 tackle in this draft, so why not? They just felt the need and took the guy. Graham Barton, center from Duke, ends up going to Tampa. Pretty good, solid pick there. Love that fit for them. I'm not sure if Ryan Jensen's healthy or retired or what the deal is there. Darius Robinson makes it in the first round there. 27 to the Cardinals. Pretty good pick. They get Marvin and then stick and pick at both spots. Darius Robinson from Mizzou. Xavier Worthy ends up going to the Chiefs. I had them taking one of the Texas receivers there at 32 in a couple different spots, and they end up going with Worthy. So that's pretty cool. I believe they're in need of a deep threat, right? MVS is no longer with the team. They signed.
I mean, they just picked up
Hollywood Brown. So
and now they've got Worthy too.
Yeah, and Rashee Rice, if he's not suspended, we'll see. But holy crap, yeah, that's looking real nice. For
I would have liked them to see. I would have liked to see them go with a more polished route runner, not necessarily another deep threat. I think we talked about Hollywood Brown already there in that. I would have loved to see Lad McConkey there, I think there's a number of guys who I think would have made a lot of sense, and including one of my, which is we're coming up here, but I think one of my favorite picks in the first round happened at pick 32 with a trade up that we'll hit here shortly.
Yeah, 32. So, I thought you were talking 31.
So Tyler Guyton. Oh, yeah, that too. Tyler Guyton here. Cowboys get their tackle. I think I hit that one right on the head, actually, in the mock, and pretty excited that I got that one right. We knew they were looking at tackle of the future, and he fit that mold right in that zone. He fell right to him after their trade down from 24 to 29, and really solid pick for them, I think. Nate Wiggins, one of the also top corners that ended up just sliding down the board a little bit. Sure, Baltimore was super happy there, didn't need to move down into day 2 at all. Stuck and picked their guy, cornerback of the future there. Really fast, shifty, can make plays on the ball type corner. I love his talent there. Vikings would not be disappointed if they ended up with him. And then the last 2 picks of tonight, Ricky Pearsall sneaks in to our end of the first round.
Snucks. No, I think you were right the first time. It was Snucks.
49ers, huh? White receiver to the 49ers. Pretty cool. And then ends with Xavier Legette out of South Carolina. He's a Southern Cowboy. He was the one who botched his
I love that
draft
pick.
scenario. Remember? We were talking about that?
Hey, maybe that's what you should do. You force a team to take you in the first round instead of the first pick of the second.
You come out and say this
team's
going to draft me.
Interested.
You better come up and get me.
Yep.
It's Kevin from Home Alone.
I love it. I think it's literally. I think it's a great pick though. That was one of my favorite. Like, just go up and get your guy, and you need to get Bryce Young help. And we know Adam Thielen is not getting any younger, so you get a guy who can sit in the wings. But in my opinion, Legette is a day one. He will start opposite of Adam Thielen there, and I think he's eventually going to turn into if not a number 1 receiver, a guy who's going to get you a consistent 60, 70 catches, 800 yards a season. Really good player.
He's a freak athlete.
Yeah.
That dude can accelerate. Once he hits something, he just goes. He makes me think of, he's a huge physical specimen.
What did he run in the 40? Does anybody know?
If DK Metcalf knew how to play receiver coming out of college.
Did he run fast?
Which is really high praise, too, considering how successful DK has been and turned out to be. But
coming out of college, DK couldn't run a route to save his life.
Not at all.
This guy can.
He can run routes, and he is, Tom, you hit the nail on the head.
He ran a 4.4.
6'2", 220?
221, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Spencer Rattler's number 1 option.
Strong dude.
Yeah. Cool. That's a great pick.
I was so hoping he was going to sneak into the first round.
That's just so funny, though.
I would have loved that.
He came out yesterday and says, yeah, the Panthers talked to me like 5 times. They told me that if I'm there at 33, they're going to take me. Like, dude. Don't
And
say
the coach is
that.
like,
I
I'm
love
not
it.
really sure what he's talking about.
He don't
Shoot your
care.
shot. Why not? If
He
it got
just
the
wants.
Panthers to get him that additional extra money, whatever it, I love it.
He
I
just
love
wants to
it.
be drafted. He don't care.
What
So
did you guys think
guys,
of the Ricky Pearsall draft?
love it. Absolutely love it. It's perfect for that offense.
I I like Ricky Pierce. I really like Ricky Pearsall. I think that shows that we've talked about this on a couple other episodes, but I think that Ayuk could be on the move. I don't
For
know.
sure.
It sounds like they wanted a first round pick for him, and clearly they did not get that this year. Could that mean a early second round pick to one of those teams that is looking for receiver help? I think it could.
It
So
sounds
I
like it's
wonder if
going to
that
be.
sounded
It sounds like it's going to be New England. It sounds like it's going to be the Patriots' first, second round pick, or maybe
for
only second for
for
Ayuk.
Drake May's sake. I really hope that's the case. I
Yeah.
really do.
I
So
don't
that would
know.
be it. That
I
could be a
already
good get for
wrote
New
Drake
England.
May off with his death wish, so I hope he burns. No, he's a good guy.
It's not his fault.
I know. It's our fault for not
And
pulling
that's
Look
the
at
other
Robert
thing.
trigger.
Kraft.
That, but it's really not, right? Like if the Patriots were set on taking their guy and their price was their price, you can't fault like that. Even if Drake May turns out to be the best quarterback in this class, franchise guy, you can't really fault Kwesi into to that being his fault if the Patriots identified Drake May as the guy that they were going to take as their franchise quarterback because it takes two to tango. And if the price was so astronomical to the point where it was just unwise to move up, and clearly there were other teams that were interested, I personally think the Giants would have if Drake May had fallen past number three, or if the Patriots had been more inclined to move that pick, I think that the Giants would have been interested in Drake May. So I just don't think at that point you can't fault the Vikings, can't fault this front office for not going up and getting him if he was the Patriots guy this entire time.
The one thing I really wanted to ask you guys this last couple episodes, but I forgot. Drake May to be worth those 3 first round picks and then some. What kind of comp would he have to be to make it worth it? Would it have to be Kirk? If he was topping out at Kirk Cousins level, is that worth 3 first round picks? Does it have to be higher than Kirk? Does it have to be Justin Herbert? Does it have to be
I don't know. I think
in
that's
the conversation of Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes?
that's too weird of a question to have a direct answer. Nobody knows anything. You're just gambling at that point.
They don't know, but at what point does it make it worth it though?
I wouldn't say a comp would necessarily be anything. You're just hoping that he would be your quarterback.
Okay, level of play though.
Okay, your quarterback for the next 8 years. Level of play.
That's the only standard.
No, level
Because
of
Michael
play.
Penix could be a quarterback. He could be a
Level of
starting
play,
quarterback
you
for
make
8
it
years.
to multiple NFC championships within 10 years. That's what you're hoping for. What are we hoping for with J.J.
Yeah,
McCarthy?
I think
It shouldn't be based off of where they're drafted. I totally disagree with that take. Like the comp should be based off the player and the situation. It shouldn't have anything to do with where they're drafted. But unfortunately, that's the way the NFL has gone and the way that society views it with social media. And it like Brock Purdy, he's not a first round. He's not.
Well, I think if you're
he's not a
trading
draft pick.
3 first round picks for somebody at pick 3, the expectations are different.
Sure, yeah, the expectations
than
are way
JJ
higher
McCarthy
earlier.
falling into your lap at 10.
And you would probably need him to play right away because the fans are going to be right on your ass about if Darnold sucks, they want him now. So from that standpoint, I view it differently. But from just projecting him for his career, I don't think it's any different than what we view McCarthy at 10 overall. It is what it is. He's in the situation with us now. It has nothing to do with what you gave up to get him. You just play it as it is. It has nothing to do with what
I
you
disagree.
gave up.
I think if JJ McCarthy JJ McCarthy has a career similar to an Andy Dalton, I think it's mostly looked at as a good pick. They didn't give up anything to get him, and they got a quality starter that can win a couple playoff games for, close to 10 years. But if they trade up 3 first-round picks and you get Andy Dalton, all of a sudden it's not a good pick anymore.
Okay. Yeah, that's how the NFL looks at it, or that's how society looks at the NFL these days. It's all about what you gave up and where you were taken. So, not only where you were drafted, but what you gave up to get that. So, yeah, that's how it's always going to be, and unfortunately, that's the way it is. But I still think the expectations are super high for JJ. I don't think we're going to be satisfied with a Andy Dalton level of production out of a first round quarterback that we had 2 years to prepare for.
But I think the difference is I, I think the difference is we didn't like if JJ McCarthy ends up not being the guy and we 2 years down the road are talking again about who we are going to select in the first round, we didn't have to give up those future first round picks. So therefore that expectation is a little bit different. So when you are talking about comps, I do think about it a lot. Okay, so what player in the league would you actually trade? What developed player in the league would you trade 3 first round picks for?
Yeah.
And I think like right now with Kirk's age, it's hard to say. No, none of us would give up 3 first round picks for Kirk right now, right? I think that we would give up 3 first round picks for Justin Herbert to put it. And I know that the cap is a whole different situation. So, to me, it's that level of plays when you're thinking about what type of compensation would you give up for a current starting quarterback, and it's of course it's a little bit different because the expectation levels are different for guys coming in. But I think that's what for me is what it would have been. It would have been that Justin Herbert type of player for Drake, like that's who I would look for to give up those picks. And I think that with the Vikings current situation that he could have been more successful than Justin Herbert because I think it's a better situation. Even when Herbert had Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Austin Eckler, decent weapons to throw to, that is similar. But I see the Vikings' current situation, and especially the coaching department, as much more elevated than what the Chargers were during that time. So I would have higher expectations as a team. But from like a talent perspective, I think that's what I would have looked for had they mortgaged the future for Drake May and gone up to that number 3 pick. And I like you said, Kev, I think the expectations for JJ are high. Like I am expecting the same thing. I want, and we've talked about this in different podcasts, I want that quarterback who I think elevates the team to that next level that can put the team on his back. And quarterback wins is a really weird and not fair statistic because it is such a team sport. But I would love to find a guy who can win you a game because he is that good. And I have that expectation for JJ McCarthy. Will he meet that? I don't know. We'll see. But I'm excited and I think it's fun to just speculate where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's got all those traits too that you're talking about. But if he doesn't, it doesn't set us back 3 years. So I'm happy with the way that the day went.
Yeah, I was cool with giving up the farm or whatever it took. So that's a nice little bonus to still have the first rounder this year and first rounder next year to look forward to, just as a nice little bonus. I was cool with doing whatever it takes to get our quarterback of the future. But, Tom, you talk about a guy who has all the traits, the qualities, the physical ability, a Michigan grad, really hard worker. You look at his time going back to high school here in Illinois, and let me tell you, this guy's a hard worker. He knows it. He's a hard-nosed guy. He's going to go in there every day of the week. He's going to put his nose to the paper. He's going to put in that extra time. He's going to do the scouting reports on the defense. He's going to know ins and outs. What's your weakness? What's your best qualities here as a defensive player, a defensive back? He's going to know how to hit you from the inside, from the outside. He's going to be able to control your mindset. He is that type of player. Out of Michigan, you talk about a guy like Tom Brady. Yes, Tom Brady, the all-time great, multiple-time championship winner. You're looking at a guy that, I tell you what, if you look at J.J. McCarthy here in a few years, he has that chance. He has that ability. Tom Brady coming out of college, sure, he wasn't an athlete. He could control the pocket. He could make every throw out of the book. But look at J.J. McCarthy. He can needle that ball. He doesn't have it on film, but let me tell you what. When you turn on that film and you dissect it a little bit further, you see those throws, those third down conversions over the middle of the field, play action, under pressure, highest completion percentage out of any quarterback under pressure in this year's draft. He is our guy. He is our quarterback of the future. And mark this day. You'll be looking back at it, and we will have a ring someday. That is our future.
Was that Mel Kiper? Is that who that was supposed to be? Or it started out that way, drifted,
That's Mel.
came back to Mel.
That's Mel Kegger. You heard it here first.
Mel Kager. Oh, that's
There we
good.
go.
That's good.
There we go.
You know what?
Clip that.
I was
Clip
listening to Colin Coward. I was listening to Coward today or yesterday, and somebody had asked him who is the most likely quarterback to wear his hat backwards. And you know who he said? J.J. McCarthy. So we're screwed. We're screwed, boys. Our quarterback has backwards hat vibes and can't lead.
He comes off a little bit arrogant, right? He draws smiley faces on his hands. He's got that TikTok college frat boy hairstyle. But let me tell you what, this guy knows a thing or two about football, and he knows a thing or two about winning. He got to the ultimatum there with Jim Harbaugh in his last year. Sure, he didn't care about the stats. He cared about the one thing in the left column, and that is what carried him all the way to the number 10 overall pick here at the Minnesota Vikings. He's here with Kevin O'Connell, and in the perfect scenario, and boy, I tell you what, he's probably the happiest guy in that green room if he were to be there. Let me tell you what, he's 40 minutes down the road from Detroit. He's not even back home. He got an Airbnb with us whole family. He didn't want to be there. He knew he was being drafted by the Vikings. Had to focus.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious to me. So my dad and I were discussing this, and if you were being drafted, guaranteed first round, would you rather be at the draft with 8 or 10 family members, whatever it is that they allow, or would you rather be at home with your whole entire family, extended family, and everybody?
If the draft's in Detroit, I tell you what, I don't want to be there. That's for dang sure.
Choose any city you want.
Whew. I'm a homebody, so I would. You guys know me. I'm the non-hangout kid. I am a stay-at-home guy. That's my pick. I would be at home rather than staying up too late just to give Roger Goodell a hug, only for him to eventually screw me on some sort of NFLPA type of deal later on down the road. So that would be my option.
Yeah, stick it to the man, Pat. Way to go.
Always.
I'm going to give you an answer
Or
here,
if I was
Tom.
there, I'd give him a big bear hug to hurt his back surgery that he had 3 weeks ago.
Did you see was it J.C. Latham that picked him up?
Yeah.
He was probably sore after that. He
Oh,
couldn't
yeah.
talk anymore.
Oh, yeah.
He was like stumbling on his words.
All right, tell you what, Tom, I'm going to give you a good answer here, and it's probably not what you're looking for, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. The draft's here in Detroit. J.J. McCarthy did it right. Loves his family, loves his friends, wants everyone to be there. Still wants to get the recognition, does all the brand deals here in Detroit the day before. What the NFL has to do, recognize 13 players only made it to the green room this year out of 32 draft picks. That's an all-time low. They got to fix that. Let's bring it to the suburbs, right? Let's put it in a spot where we can put 32 houses. We're going to build that in 6 months. Boom. 32 houses. Airbnbs. Boom. We're going to build those up. Super nice. Can hold up to 16 people each. Sleep the night there. Bring the whole family. Bring the crib. Everybody's there. We're having a good time. You're getting drafted. You go over. You get drafted. You cross the stage. You go back home. Your family's right across the street. None of this city crap. None of these sweeping needles off the ground here in Detroit and making it look all nice. Bringing Eminem out there. Putting on a show. It's all fake. We all know that. We know what the real Detroit looks like. It's dirty. Give us some real energy here. Bring it to the suburbs.
Interesting. Okay. I would go to the draft. I think I would bring my parents, siblings, whatever it is, 8 to 10 people that they allow. And it's just once in a lifetime experience. Getting up on that stage, I think, would be quite the experience. And shaking Roger Goodell's hand, even though you're right, Pat, he will screw me at some point, and holding up that jersey. It's a great photo op. When I'm with people that I'm comfortable with, I am.
Sure.
If I'm in a group of people where I don't really know where I fit in, I will hang back and just see what happens. But if I'm with a group I'm pretty comfortable with, I'm pretty vocal.
For sure. Kev, are you extroverted or do you?
You're asking a guy who sent the dab at college graduation in front of thousands of people. So the nerves get to you a little bit, but it's like par for the moment. Bring it on. So I'm here for it. Bring me to the draft. Send the whole fam. Give me the house in the suburb. If you build it, they will come. I heard the NFL draft's coming to Shoreview.
I wonder if I wonder if that is. I'm definitely on the introverted side.
Arden Hills.
Typically, like something like that, I probably would choose to just stay home and watch it at home. Like I'm tempted to go to the draft in Lambeau next year just because it's so close and it would be fun. But then it's like I just enjoy watching it at home on a couch with beer that's pretty cheap. So like typically I would just choose at home, but I think for that moment that's a little different. So
for sure,
I think I'd choke up and do it.
Yeah, I feel like we covered all of our bases here. We went through the whole draft, a little bit of our first takes on how we feel about the picks. So much research to be done, a lot of interviews here with the players coming in the next couple of days. When they come to town, a lot of interviews with Kwesi and KOC. We'll try to see if we can see through any of them, see if it was really their plan A all along to bring in Mr. McCarthy and Turner. But just pretty fun breaking this down. We will sign off for tonight and definitely have some more here coming pretty soon. So thanks for joining. Skol. Go Wolves.
Skol.
I got 'em.